NBC's Carol Lee is traveling with the president and joins us now from Jeddah. Also with us, Jeremy Bash, the former chief of staff at both the CIA and the Pentagon. Carol, first of all, thanks for all your reporting, and you penned the piece today on NBC.com with some of the others contributing, but it was your piece on all of the interactions that led up to this. So what are you expecting the president to say to the Crown Prince today, who is the de facto leader because Prince King Salman has been pretty much not running the country for several years? Carol?
Right, Andrea. Well, there's been a lot of back and forth in the run-up to this event, the president arriving here. You know, from your own reporting, there were a lot of internal deliberations, from everything to why the president should go. He was very reluctant to go initially, and his aides really had to sell him on this trip. And part of what the selling point was that it wasn't just about Saudi Arabia, U.S.-Saudi relations in and of themselves, that it was about the relationship and security within the broader region, and that got the president more interested in doing this trip. But every detail has been scrutinized internally, and even down to what we saw there, that fist bump. There were discussions about would they shake hands, should the president smile, should he touch the Crown Prince's arm, is he going to offer warm words about U.S.-Saudi relations when they're pictured together on camera. All of those questions are underlying this. But when it comes to the substance of what this meeting is going to be about, there's a whole host of issues that they have to talk about. There's the administration's goal of integrating Israel more into the region with its Arab neighbors. We saw that announcement from the Saudis about opening their airspace base to commercial flights from Israel. The president making the first flight from Israel to Saudi Arabia, and that making that historic moment. And then you have other things like Iran, which is something that will be discussed again tomorrow when other Gulf leaders are here in Jeddah. And then the conflict in Yemen. The administration would like the truce to be extended. Human rights, as you mentioned, is a big thing. The president has not committed to raising the Khashoggi murder directly with the Crown Prince in his meeting. He was asked that publicly yesterday and didn't make a commitment. So coming out of this, that'll be a big question. Does he do that? We're told he's expected to, but you don't really know until that meeting takes place, and we'll see what the White House has to say about that. And then oil, that's the other big thing that this meeting is about. The U.S. wants the Saudi Arabia to increase production to deal with those gas prices at home. So we'll see whether the president gets something there. And when he goes home, that's going to be, frankly, Andrea, the big thing that Americans are looking for.
No, absolutely. But, Jeremy, there's so many trade-offs. You've got the 9/11 families who were very much against. Amnesty International putting out statements. John Brennan, the former station chief for the CIA and former CIA director, station chief in Saudi, telling us the other day if he were in the administration, he would advise against this trip. Did Ben Rhodes, the deputy national security advisor for President Obama. So you've been in the government. You've dealt with the Saudis. Is this a wise move going there?
I think it's necessary, Andrea. I mean, the fist bump is the minimum, a kind of warmth between an American president and a de facto Saudi leader. In the past, you've seen these leaders of our two countries hold hands, literally walk arm in arm, embrace, air kiss. And you're not going to see that here because the relationship has fundamentally changed. It's not just about Khashoggi. It's also about Yemen. It's also about our concerns about the way the Crown Prince has treated his political rivals, including the one-time leader of the intelligence community there, Mohammed bin Nayef. That's Mohammed bin Salman's cousin, his rival. So we have differences, but I think the president understands we also have an alignment of strategic interests. And when you're president, you got to deal with people you don't like as well as people you do like. And we have an alignment of interests, as Carol noted, on the Iran question. Iran is weeks away from obtaining enough fissile material to develop a nuclear weapon. We need to quickly align with Israel and our Gulf Arab partners to deal with that challenge. we also need them to play a much more aggressive role in the energy markets to provide capacity on the markets as a counterweight to the way Russia has pulled back. And we also need them for a variety of other things, including fostering Israel's integration into the region, which is a monumental diplomatic achievement by the United States. So I think this trip, is not fun to do. It's not what the president wanted necessarily to do, but it's what he has to do as president, and I'm glad he's doing it.
Jeremy, there are already signals from the Saudis in the last couple of days that they're not going to give enough on oil. Will the president get enough commitments to come home with something?
I don't think, at least from what we've been hearing from folks inside the administration, that we're going to see some big grand announcement about a specific number of barrels per day that'll be put on the market. I don't think you'll see that done publicly. I'm not sure the Saudis are ready to commit, and I'm not sure we know exactly what we need to define success. I think there'll be a general alignment that the Saudis and the countries in the Middle East need to do more to be aggressive in the energy markets. And this is a part of our long-term strategy. We need more capacity on the markets. We need to try to drive gas prices down for the American consumer. Over time, ultimately, we're going to be weaning ourselves off of fossil fuels and going to more of a green economy. And this is part of the dialogue because, of course, one of the things that leaders in the Middle East are also looking to invest in is that green technology, because they know ultimately the days of just a reliance on fossil fuels, those days are numbered.
And do you think that there's any chance of getting more than the current ceasefire in Yemen? Any way to push the Saudis on trying to get a deal, some way to end that horrible war?
We'll push for it, and I think there's been progress in recent weeks, and our diplomacy has been very aggressive. But I don't think we're going to see a breakthrough on this trip. I think actually the number one issue is going to be Iran, Andrea, because, as I said, they're so close to that breakout capability, and no one's hungry to go back to the Iran deal that was struck under the Obama administration. I don't think we're eager to do it. The deal's on the table for the Iranians to take or leave. But by the way, even if we get back into that deal, Iran probably could still break out within 6 months. So that deal is not a panacea at all. We're going to have to remain vigilant about Iran's nuclear capability with or without that deal for the very long term.
Plus, there are advances in missiles and drones, which aren't even covered by that deal. So Iran is a threat in many other ways. Thanks to Carol Lee and Jeremy Bash. Thanks to you both.